but this DCOM's not. That's the way I like it, and I'll never get bored. Hey, now, here's a podcast called A Whole New
Yeah.
Hey, now, keep on listening as we discussing Lindsay Lohan. But not all DCOMs are gold. Only
Like her
can
last
of worms breaks the mold.
Oh, that was pretty good.
Now you whistle. I just go.
Can I go?
Hey, welcome to A Whole New Pod. After the greatest intro in our podcast history.
I don't want my brand associated with this.
I am one of your hosts, Lucas Melby, joined by
Jacob Pillajohn.
And as you just heard a little bit ago, as he takes a small swig from his Arizona can.
Large can. Isn't that a Palmer?
It is a Palmer.
It's a Palmer.
Arnie in the house and Sam as well, making his...
Rest
we
in
say it
peace.
basically every time, but really this is a triumphant return because...
It's been like a year or two. Or
well,
three.
yeah, COVID time, it's all a blur, but I was looking back, I think the last episode Sam was on was...
Chaz Anthony.
Phantom of the Megaplex, which I don't even remember if we recorded that this year or not. We, of course, tried to get Sam to come on the Halloween Town 2 episode. I don't know if you want to discuss anything about it. No,
I had to go home and poop.
It happened.
The less said about that, probably the better. Really, the inspiration for that little musical melody I put at the beginning was the world is literally on fire right now.
Yeah.
But we're still chilling in Minnesota, getting a little bit of a cool spell going on here.
A little breezy.
But we're still having the fun of COVID. We're peaking there. We got our own peaks there. And anything you want to fill in the podcast nation about, Sam? What you've been up to in quarantine? Any fun projects?
No.
Yeah. My biggest project that I don't even remember if I mentioned on the podcast because sometimes I edit it out is I finally watched all the Friday the 13th movies.
Wow.
So maybe check my letterbox soon at fat_tomato to see my definitive rankings of those
That's
movies.
the one with Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis, right? Freaky Friday.
Leave.
I'll allow that. That was with Telejohn's
That was good.
contributions. That was pretty decent.
That was good.
As Jacob was mentioning, Lindsay Lohan, that is a relevant thing to bring up. As also I mentioned in my song too, because this week we watched Get a Clue.
Get a fucking clue, Disney.
Come
You
on,
make
Mom,
shit
get
movies.
a clue. Where this is really the third in a stretch of DCOMs that have pretty high-ranking celebrity names, and then we had Hilary Duff and Cadet Kelly.
Shia LaBeouf.
In True Confessions, and now Lindsay Lohan.
And Brenda Song.
We'll also find Brenda Song, but Brenda Song did not have a recent reality show about her bar in Greece that ran for one season called Lindsay's Beach Bar or something like that.
Is Hilary Duff really a celebrity?
I was talking to Jacob on the drive here that she is the one of these three that really came out just... She's like normal. Shia LaBeouf had kind of periods of drama and edginess.
Now he's maybe chill.
But Lindsay Lohan definitely hit rock bottom.
Literally.
Yeah, but Hilary Duff did Lizzie McGuire and then nothing.
And she was in A Cinderella Story.
She had her
And
spurts.
she was in the Sharon Tate ghost movie thing.
That was bad.
I'm not saying she's in good stuff. But Lindsay Lohan... I really enjoyed looking up, seeing like what she's up to, looking at her Wikipedia page, and her picture on Wikipedia, she looks like a ghost.
Like
she looks unrecognizable.
I would say she had the biggest
used to be.
peak out of all of them, and I mean, I'm just saying that because of Parent Trap. Like, she peaked early.
Mean Girls. Mean Girls is a hell of a movie. I love Mean Girls.
Both of them are classics.
I'd say Mean Girls is in a different league from The Parent Trap.
Parent Trap is good.
But that is interesting to bring up The Parent Trap because Get a Clue is actually the last in a series of 3 movies that Lindsay Lohan, I guess, had a contract with Disney for.
Well, then,
she did The Parent Trap, which was a theatrical release.
Then she must have came back, though, for like Herbie Fully Loaded, so she must have signed a new contract.
I think it would just be like that one movie.
She had Parent Trap, some movie where she played a doll that came to life. And then this movie. So the only one that was in theaters was The Parent Trap.
Pretty sure you're thinking of Tyra Banks. She was a Barbie that came.
Well, that's actually the sequel to the original movie.
Oh, God.
Oh, whoa.
I'm not even joking.
Whoa.
But as I tried to find this movie on her IMDb page after I had heard about it, and it's not on Lindsay Lohan's IMDb. So even Lindsay Lohan's not proud of that movie.
She had it omitted.
But I think she must have taken a break and actually gone to school or something, because it seemed like there was a bit of a gap between like this movie between like Mean Girls.
Yeah.
Mean Girls, the movie that we had one substitute in high school that who if she didn't want to like teach or was a study hall, she would throw on either
was that
Mean Girls, Miracle with Kurt Russell, the Miracle on Ice movie, or
Newsies,
Freedom Writers, I think.
Was that Miss Valenta?
Yeah, Mrs. Valenta.
She would play Newsies, too,
I remember we watched Mean Girls in a study hall, which was great. And
a
kid in there,
I don't know why I still know her name.
Lindsay Lohan was so fucking hot in this movie. Look at her tits. And I'm like,
Yikes.
settle down, dude.
Yikes.
Was that voice coming inside yourself?
No. It was shout-outs to Will Valdez.
Oh.
I enjoyed hearing his stories of playing World of Warcraft in study hall.
Wow.
So that's enough nonsense. We've had some longer episodes, so let's just get right into this movie, because often when Sam is in the house, we get to go off on some tangents. So with that in mind, I purposely try to take less notes than usual, which I was mostly successful in. But it's also maybe a detriment, because this movie is a bit of a mess. And a movie that is about a mystery can be kind of hard to really talk about when you don't know what the fuck is going on.
Especially at the end. We really were fucking lost.
Yeah, it was like a Beckett play.
It was like Guy Ritchie, where he just has a billion characters in his movie, and then there's a final scene where everybody's converging at once, and that's actually probably too high of praise for Get a Clue.
Yeah, Guy Ritchie's really good.
He makes some good movies. All right, so this
Rock
movie...
and Roller, great movie.
The King Arthur movie? Everybody loved that one. So this movie starts off very similar to Cadet Kelly, where we're getting shots of New York, getting the title card, and we hear Sam's sister's favorite song of some early 2000s pop punk, as we've gotten in some of these other movies.
Bullshit song.
Then we get a pan into our main character, Lindsay Lohan.
Drooling from the mouth.
Lexi, that's her name.
Alexandra Gold, and she, as her last name would imply, is super upper class. Rich.
She has a giant bed, she has a face mask, telltale sign of 1% hood.
A maid that has a menu for
we only
them.
see the maid like one time, though, I felt.
Yes, but she was one of the only ethnic characters in the entire movie.
That's not even close to true.
I said one of. The only. That could mean anything.
But she rolls out of bed, takes off her face mask.
And a headset.
And yeah, she throws a headset on to immediately hop into a video call with Brenda Song.
Yes.
Who I don't actually know her character's
Brenda
name.
Song.
It could be Brenda. And I don't even think video call technology could even close to exist
in 2002.
Even for rich people, I don't think so.
And they didn't even have like webcams. It just kind of like...
They did have webcams.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Well, within a definition, they could have been webcams.
Yeah.
And they get off with what rich people, I guess, do, where they dress in front of each other and talk about their outfits and how fantabulous they are.
That's 3 words.
And Lindsay Lohan is a total bitch in this scene. But so I was like, I like this outfit. She goes, no, I wouldn't even wear that outfit. You suck. I hate you.
And this is very similar to Cadet Kelly, where both characters start off, they're obnoxious, they're rich.
Yeah.
And at least Cadet Kelly, she gets down in the mud. She goes through some shit. She kind of takes her punches and learns a lesson. We're supposed to get that Lindsay Lohan learns something by the end of this movie, but it's pretty...
It's the homeless man that she sees that turns out might be a millionaire.
It's a pretty big... It's a pretty big stretch for her to really have growth in this.
Yes.
She's having breakfast with her family. We see her mom. I think this is the only scene
I don't remember her mom being in it at all.
She's just at Pilates class or something for the whole movie. But her dad is a journalist who works for the made-up newspaper, the New York Examiner.
And that's just why they're rich?
Did he actually work for that?
I believe so. I think he talked about it in a way.
I thought it was like, you're in this paper.
Because she is in the paper because...
This magic paper that everyone in the fucking world reads.
The Examiner has a...
The day of that it comes out.
A guest column.
Early in the morning.
That kids submit to, and she submitted a story.
And she was on like the front page of it.
I don't know what
front page of like section 7
of human interest. It's a human interest story. It's not
two teachers are banging.
Yeah, it's about her teachers, and she's talking about how they have a weird friendship, and there's a picture of them in the paper.
It's weird.
It is, yeah.
It must have been a slow news.
It had to be like a Daily Inquirer type newspaper.
Like the dad called in a favor, like, hey, My daughter needs some self-esteem building here, please.
And probably
You're on par with the Times. Written an article about my daughter finding the teachers are banging.
And we also see the best character in this movie, who is her weird sister.
Yeah.
Who wears these spy goggles.
Yeah.
Almost in every scene she's in.
Yes.
Even though they have flashlights on them and it's the daytime and she's wearing them.
We first thought she was maybe the sister from
the Smart House.
But that'd be too crazy because that sister was already the sister in Brink.
We do have another DCOM appearance from the vampire later in this film.
Well, Brenda Song.
She's not a vampire.
The vampire Brenda Song.
But
that was the ultimate Christmas present. Santa turned into a vampire.
Oh.
So then they're at the school, which we thought was maybe a private school, but it's just as a
rich people mix with poor people.
No, the kid gets a scholarship to go to that. It's obviously a private school.
Okay.
Right. We see Brenda and Lindsay Lohan have ridiculous clothes, but there's also lots of other kids.
Yeah, they highlight these kids walking in the streets. Like, I thought it was like a spy school, like the way some of the guys were dressing.
Totally spies.
I was like, what is
this? Yeah, then she goes to school and every single student has read today's paper. It's like, oh my god, you printed an article. You're the greatest fucking person ever.
Yeah.
Well, don't they do it over like an intercom announcement? Or like
no,
the
you're
teacher
thinking
tells
a true
it?
confession.
Well, like they say, like, congratulations, you got your article, like, published.
No, that's just every single person.
They don't need
in
to
the
make the announcement. Everybody's already read it.
Oh, everyone loves this place.
And then we get, because it's a DCOM, we're getting narration from Lindsay Lohan, which I was okay with because it just reminded me of Mean Girls. I'm like, well, I can't hate Mean Girls for narration. So, but she's talking about introducing the characters. So she introduces Miss Dawson and Mr. Walker, who were the teachers that were the subject of the story. And I don't want to be mean, but Miss Dawson... she looks a little rough in this movie. And not to belittle a woman's appearance or anything.
The time you were saying she looks like a drug addict, she was clearly crying. That's why her eyes were puffy. She could have been in Train Spotting or something. Which is a great movie.
With how this movie progresses, kind of is a flag that, maybe she's bad because she looks like shit.
Well, yeah,
but no.
She's like those other, like, she just acts goofy throughout the whole movie.
Not to spoil much, but yeah, she's just...
she's off.
She's very much like the teacher in Clueless. That's the teacher they pair up with a inconceivable guy from Princess Bride.
Well.
His name is Wallace Shawn.
Thank you. My dinner with Andre.
So then they go... Is that when they go to the newspaper class?
Before that, we'll mention one final character that she introduces, which is Mrs. Stern, who is a character that seems like she's important, but she's actually very unimportant. And I'll talk about why that is at the end of the movie. But she's like the guidance counselor, and she goes to Mr. Walker to say like, I'm going to talk to you. And it's like, oh, is she mad about this newspaper story? Because everybody's talking about the newspaper story, including in newspaper class.
She's also the only character that got back. Baby got back.
A lot of back, but
she does.
And back problems, probably.
I'm not going to go off they're talking about Miss Dawson looking like a drug addict to then, body shame anybody. So in newspaper,
I'm not body shaming anybody.
No, Sam is on board for
Miss fact.
He's wants her to be strict with him.
Yikes.
So in newspaper class,
she's not even a teacher. She's like an officer or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Her role is extremely confusing. So Mr. Goldblum is the teacher who leads up newspaper class.
Yes.
And what's the topic of conversation? Why, of course, it's Lexi's article.
Oh, and he makes everyone give speeches about how great Lexi is for writing this article.
Yeah, we meet Jack, who
fucking hates Lexi.
The first character that is clearly supposed to be the love interest for her. Yes. And he is the managing editor, senior editor of the paper.
He's the poor one.
So Mr. Goldblum's like, hey, since you're the editor, talk about how great this was. And he's like, he's got a heavy... Not even heavy. He's
Brooklyn accent. He's like, yeah, fucking articles. Shit, I can fucking do better.
He doesn't sound like that, but none of us can do a New York accent without going,
He's like, he's
not a damn troll underneath the bridge.
I read the article. It wasn't that great. I could do better.
That's pretty good. And he says, it's really good that one of our writers from one of our lesser sections, our softer sections, could get something
he really talks.
If we're going to keep doing this, I'm going to fucking
leave.
We're
not, because Jack is not
leave.
the only character that talks in the movie. And then Lexi slaps back at him to say, I only had to submit it to a real newspaper because you wouldn't print it.
Oh, my God.
Because it was about two teachers banging.
Well, that is more relevant to a school newspaper than the New York exam?
Well, yeah, and like that teacher made the headlines like 2 or 3 times.
Yep, and then in class we get something that doesn't amount to anything, where it's career week, and we get to see apparently a student's mom come in,
that's later.
and she's from the CIA.
And I thought
it doesn't matter at all.
And she's like, oh, I'm real lonely, even though I have a child. I miss my cat. I don't miss my child.
So Lohan didn't want to become...
And it's so weird because both in a DCOM, where this is an 80-minute long movie, these DCOMs usually do not have wasted scenes. Well, that's maybe being a little generous.
There's a lot of waste.
But also for this to be
movie.
a mystery DCOM.
Yeah.
To have multiple wasted scenes and characters.
Yeah. This isn't a wasted scene. She's like, you gotta do this to be a spy.
But then we follow up with a dad who's a taxidermist.
Yeah.
That definitely doesn't apply to anything.
Was he a taxidermist?
Yeah, he was showing them how to
he's going to show them how to...
fish.
Yeah.
I thought he was
stuff a fish.
I thought he was just a fishmonger.
No.
Maybe that's his side hustle.
That was
so
weird.
yeah, that goes nowhere.
It doesn't go nowhere. She gets pulled out of class to talk to a police.
Well, no, before that, she's leaving newspaper or something, and she overhears the 2 teachers talking in the stairwell. Oh. And Mr. Walker's like, I don't love you anymore.
Yeah, they were
Get out of my life, bitch. And she's like, I won't walk down the hallway at the same time as you.
So, like,
no, she's like, one of us has to leave, and it's not gonna be me.
Can't stay at this school.
So were they just like faking that? Was that
No, that's he was pulling
trying to
Harry and the Hendersons
to make her just feel okay.
Miss Dawson, go get.
We don't like you no more.
And it's like, oh, is this Lexi's fault for writing the article?
No.
Probably, but the teacher walks down and she's like, oh, hey Lexi,
hey.
I saw you wrote about me in the paper. You're the greatest fucking person in the world.
It was a great article.
Yeah.
The next morning, we see a shot of a car being pulled from the river. Uh-oh. And we hear from Lexi's dad talking about it that, I got some bad news. It's Mr. Walker's car, but nobody's body was found.
But people think he's dead. Now go to school.
I mean, it's fair that people would think he's dead.
Yeah, but why would you tell your daughter that?
Well, she's going to find out when she goes to school.
Yeah, let the school deal with it.
Great parenting. Like,
you go to school.
That's why my parents never told me about sexual education, because the school dealt with it.
It's a little different.
See, if she never knew, we wouldn't get like her 13th wardrobe of the movie, the black outfit.
Yeah, so she goes to school wearing black because she's in mourning.
13th wardrobe. Just caring about a bunch of wardrobes.
But then we see her in this black dress, but then we get a really weird shot where it's her and Brenda are walking down the hall in slow motion.
And it like starts at their feet,
up from their feet,
stops at their legs for a little bit.
Boom!
Wow, it's really weird.
Yeah, and then we just move on from there. They're in mourning, but they're looking good.
Yeah.
She's wearing a beret.
Fashion
as
is the
you
passion
do
when you're mourning.
So Miss Dawson seems sad in her class, but she's holding it together because she loved him still. At least that's what Lexi thinks. But it's like, she's really not attractive though, so she's probably the villain.
Maybe she fucking killed him. She probably fucking killed him.
But that's a classic
DCOM
thing where the obvious person is not actually it. We'll meet somebody else who's the obvious person, who does turn out to be it, though. And by it, I mean the not murderer of this movie. How great would this movie have been if a teacher actually was murdered?
Killed somebody.
That would have added a lot more stakes.
It would have had way more gravitas.
Spoiler.
So the police are there, and they pull Lexi out of class, and the detective that talks to her
has an amazing mustache.
It is
Raleigh fingers, handlebar, curly Q.
Fully curled.
It was like he was going to tie her up and put her on the train tracks.
So I believe it has to be
fake.
A reference to, fake, but also a reference to, like, Poirot, the detective, Agatha Christie. He's the detective in, like, Murder on the Orient Express and stuff like that. But it's also in his badge photo, so he's really proud of it.
Yes.
And what does Lindsay Lohan, first thing she say to this officers? Shave your fucking mustache.
She is
I'm a 16-year-old girl.
She's very judgmental, materialistic, and all about looks.
And he does shave.
He's also read Lexi's column, because...
Who hasn't?
It's the greatest article ever written by mankind.
For a Pulitzer.
Pulitzer
She's going to win a daytime Emmy for this. It's so good.
So then she's talking about, I overheard them having this argument, so I think you really should talk to Miss Dawson.
And boom, here's Miss Dawson. Yeah, she's right outside.
Lexi leaves the room, and Miss Dawson's already walking in.
Yeah.
And then the detective...
Yeah, but what does the detective do? Not shut the door like you do when you interrogate people.
Yeah, so she's creeping, and Jack...
So she overhears, and Miss Dawson's sounding kind of sinister in some of what she's saying, so the detective's like, you want to have me take you downtown?
Ooh.
Not in a sexual way.
Let me go downtown with you.
And then she goes, I'm going to get my lawyer, because I'm
crazy. Great when we're downtown. Yeah, so she pleads the fifth, I wants her lawyer. That's maybe the sixth, I think. Right to an attorney.
Fifth is, you have the right to remain silent.
That's why I said a sixth is maybe right to attorney. So then...
what's his name? Catches her snooping.
I don't even think that's part of the Constitution.
Well, the Bill of Rights. Let's talk about the history of the Constitution.
Moving on.
That's the Miranda rights.
This is far... We'll have this conversation.
She has Miss Dawson rights. Her name's not Miranda.
But yeah, right to a speedy trial, but I don't know if there's any other lawyer. It's part of the Constitution.
All right, so Jack comes across her snooping, and she's basically like, we need to get to the bottom of this. And he's like, what? Why?
He's like, stop fucking going into teachers' lives. I need you to give advice about that one girl that didn't like that other girl.
I don't know if it comes up here, but so we're supposed to get that Lexi really has an attachment to Miss Dawson, and it turns out that Jack has a real attachment to Mr. Walker.
A real attachment.
Like he was grooming him for molestation.
Probably.
But before we go off on that tangent, I want to bring it back to the one piece of advice her advice column gives. Do you remember this?
Oh, because, that's what she really writes for the school newspaper. Yeah. That's why she's a softer journalist.
Yeah, she was like, my friend was mean to me. I forgave her, but I'm still mad at her. She goes, just talk to her and then buy her a purse.
Story
that
of
was
my
her
life.
advice.
Works every time. So they, I guess, eventually team up, her and Jack, like, yeah, okay, sure, we'll get to the bottom of this. And what's the next step to get to the bottom of this? Going shopping with Brenda.
Yes, fucking like 3 or 4 outfit shops.
On Madison Avenue.
Yes.
And it's just, really over the top.
Shopping
and again, really not making me like any of these characters.
Maybe her mom was there because she said, let's go shopping Madison Avenue, Mom.
Nope, the mom. That's the real mystery of this movie.
Who is the mother? Who is she?
No, it's why she can spend thousands and thousands of dollars and no one seeming to care.
So Brenda makes a comment. Oh, yeah, obviously Jack likes you. Get a clue.
Oh.
And it won't be the only time we come across something maybe in writing about get a clue.
It was said at least 3 times in the movie.
Since her dad at some point says, hey, being a journalist is like being an investigator, Lexi goes to her dad for investigation tips. And basically he gives her some, but then also says, I don't want you looking into your teacher's disappearance or whatever.
Disappearance.
But she says, I won't, Daddy, and then she crosses her fingers behind
and
her
her
back.
arms, the whole combo.
And this was the time where I thought her dad was going to be the murderer.
Also would have been a better movie.
Better twist.
But she walks away with her fingers still crossed behind her back.
Yes.
Which would have been in full view of her
She
father.
walked in front of him. She had to go in front of him out of the room.
Dad, just so you know.
She's pretty ballsy. So then she is gonna do the investigation, so she has to get her spy gear from her sister.
Yes.
She doesn't get any spy gear.
Who has the magic door clicker.
Okay, I thought she was gonna get spy gear because her sister basically has all the stuff that would have been in the Scholastic book fair catalog of spy stuff, and you'd be like, oh my god, I want this so bad, and I never got it.
I always wanted
her remote that can shut any door ever.
In the house.
That is useful.
She's got a black light in the house.
Oh, save it.
Sorry.
So, I guess the sister gives her the hookup to a spy shop called Corner Spy Shop.
Yeah. They have a lot of shit in this place.
What do the employees wear? Shirts that say spy.
So Jack's there with her, and he goes to the counter and says, we're looking for spy equipment, and the lady with the spy shirt says, yeah, you've come to the right place. And I don't... Do stores like that exist?
I feel like back in the 50s, you could probably find...
I feel like it was a Radio Shack type deal.
Yeah, back in the 50s.
But what's that written on the back wall? Get a clue. That's right.
Store sign, the Corner Spy Shop. It says something, get a clue.
Dropping hints.
Which I feel like this place would just have to be a sting operation by cops for people like stalking people.
I mean, there's magic shops, there's spy shops.
You didn't see in the corner was the Spencer's Gifts type dealio where they have the adults.
Oh, God.
Behind the beaded curtain. Yeah.
Like
that's
a weird sex
flasks, sex toys.
Yep, the vibrators back there.
Yikes.
The remote control one.
There.
But who else shows up at the spy shop? Brenda and a character we hadn't mentioned who showed up briefly, Gabe.
John Leguizamo.
Who he's the... not actually John Leguizamo.
He didn't need to be in this movie, like, at all.
No, he's the tech expert that's not the little sister.
No, he's the camera guy.
Yeah.
He knows cameras.
Camera.
He went on fucking Geraldo.
He's like True from True Confessions, where he's always got a camcorder with him.
And it's a shitty camera.
Yeah, it's not super great. And they just all decide, like, okay, now we're all going to team up to spy on Miss Dawson and Mr. Walker's house. And maybe Lexi lives across the street from Miss Dawson.
No, the camera guy lives across the street from Miss Dawson.
Okay, yeah. It wasn't really clear.
Was he the one that said, like, I've already been there before? Is that what he was referring to, her house?
No, that's Jack talking about Mr. Walker's house.
No, he said, I live across the street from
okay.
And he's also really shitty at hiding cameras, as we'll see.
While they're splitting up the teams, Jack kind of figures out that Lexi's never taken a subway because she wants to call a car, and he's like, you can't call a car! There's the big game!
So this takes place in February, and there's no snow in New York.
Well, I mean, yeah, presuming that the only big game that anybody calls the big game is the Super Bowl. But also, you know, there could be...
basketball.
Knicks. Everybody loves the Knicks, right?
It looks like summertime. Knicks never make it to the playoffs.
Summertime.
Who knows?
It's big probably game. Brooklyn. Who does Brooklyn have an NBA team?
Nets.
The Nets.
With Tim Duncan was Duncan.
So this Duncan was the Spurs. You buffoon.
I don't know.
So this is pushing forward the real major character flaw growth moment for Lexi is that she's very classist, where she doesn't know how normal people live by taking the subway.
No, before that, the whole subway reveal, it was, oh, she lives in Brooklyn. You can't go to Brooklyn. That's where the poor people live.
When did they see the homeless dude? Is that anywhere?
That's after the subway ride.
We're getting there shortly.
Okay.
No, they're basically going, Brooklyn.
Which I don't.
Poor people.
I think times have changed, or at least my brother lives in Brooklyn. I mean,
Brooklyn Nine-Nine is a great
journalist,
show.
so I don't know. Maybe he's living like the dad does in this movie.
It's all gentrified.
He's got all those remote controlled doors in his apartment.
Wow.
So Jack is, as Sam calls him, the poor kid in this movie.
She goes on and on about how poor he is. He doesn't have a dad.
But he's
technically a bastard.
That's why she's into him, because he's poor and so
sad.
No.
Before we jump too far ahead here. We all were thinking, what type of horrors are she going to see on the subway?
We don't even
this
get
is going to be
shit.
A whole...
We don't get it!
That would have been a really fun scene.
Like, people are, like, coughing and sneezing.
No, she's looking at the stairs and you hear, dun, dun, dun.
Because she was saying,
she's walking up the
subway, and you could have been like, okay, well, how do you get the tokens? And she's trying to, like, fake all that. That could have been funny, but no, we just see them teleport to their destination.
Yes.
She comes out of the stairs of the station and says, okay, we made it.
Yeah. I gotta tell Brenda Song that we survived.
And they run smack dab into a homeless guy.
Which this reveal was like the very scary reveal of the homeless guy behind the diner in Mulholland Drive. It comes off like you think, Lexi's gonna be horrified that he's homeless, but no, she's, that coat he has is very similar to Mr. Walker's coat.
I can't believe they'd make two of that ugly coat because textile plants don't.
And Jack's like, why do you know that's his coat? And she's all about material things.
And then as she's walking down in her fabulous outfit that's been established, everyone's looking at her like, what?
All the pores in Brooklyn.
They drop to their knees and start bowing at her feet.
Yeah.
Kissing her toes.
So while they're going there, we're seeing...
Stop leeching onto my good things.
We're seeing Brenda and Gabe setting up, and he's got a camera that he puts behind basically one single leaf of a plant on the fire escape.
No. He's setting it up. And as they're leaving, he grabs a potted plant.
And sets it in front of him.
Clearly he's going to set it in front of there. But no, he kind of just sets it back down where it exactly was.
And then they go back to his house or apartment where he's got lines of tapes.
Cocaine.
Because he's a huge, creepy voyeur who's always filming stuff.
There's a telescope. He's clearly looking in the buildings, finding people that are banging, filming it, and then watching it later and masturbating.
So they see Miss Dawson come home, and then she turns on her TV, and one of probably the second best scene
she goes fucking nuts.
She has an exercise tape, and then she starts doing I guess calisthenics, aerobics. Doesn't look like you'd work up too much of a sweat, but Brenda says, "Oh, I love this."
And she starts doing them.
Yes.
And this is another flaw the movie had.
Only one.
Another one. As the only person that's worked in a school in their professional life, here's what they got wrong with that scene. The teacher would immediately go home, start drinking wine, just chugging that wine, and then watch a murder show.
Murder shows, I think, weren't quite in vogue in 2002, but
my mom used to do it all the time when she worked at Roosevelt Elementary School.
Look at Miss Dawson. She's clearly recovered from a drug addiction. She doesn't have cable money. There's also like weird edits and cuts timed to her foot kicking in the air, where it's like.
I thought it would have been revealed that she was some type of assassin.
Yeah,
she's the spy.
And then somebody comes to the door. And Gabe tries to zoom in, and he's got this ridiculous remote control car contraption to zoom in. And then it's, too far.
The camera's sputtering.
And eventually we see that it's Mr. Goldblum, the newspaper teacher.
There.
And I was like, oh my god, I was supposed to remember who he was? Stop, get a clue. I don't need to know so many character names.
Yeah. Too many characters.
So then at Mr. Walker's house... Miss Stern, remember Miss Stern? All these characters that I didn't think mattered, but then are still coming up. Miss Stern, as Sam, the thick with 2 C's lady, comes out. Why is she coming out of Mr. Walker's apartment?
She's sternly walking out of the apartment.
She's looking kind of sketch, like looking around, making sure nobody sees her.
And then they go up to his apartment, and the door's open.
Because she's the murderer.
And shit is thrown all about now.
I think it was just he has a messy place.
So
because he's poor. He lives in the poor part of town. And Lindsay Lohan's like, where's the rest of his house? Where does the maid live?
Yeah.
I'm Lindsay Lohan.
So they go in, they're scoping around. They eventually come across a suitcase with the initials NP.
NP.
Ooh. What does that mean?
Who's that?
And then Lindsay Lohan's looking through a wardrobe, and they have a horror movie reveal because this wardrobe has a mirror on it. So she opens it.
Pretty
There's somebody behind her. Oh my god! It's a vampire because it's the vampire from Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire.
But if it was a vampire, he wouldn't be seen in the mirror.
Exactly.
Let's be honest.
But have you seen Brenda Song in a mirror?
Oh no!
Did she show up in any of those pictures?
No!
And then, what's behind the vampire? It's fucking Blade. And Blade recruits Lindsay Lohan.
Well, it's David Carradine's brother who plays the vampire slayer in Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire. So we can talk about autoerotic asphyxiation.
Rest in peace, David
That's what would really happen if you went to a teacher's house after school.
Wow. Yikes.
Yeah, because teachers are so sexually adventurous that... it's the only way they could feel anything anymore.
I was like, why don't I have this teenager over at my house and give him gifts? So he has to repay me, Melby.
Okay.
Connect the dots.
Yikes.
So this not vampire has an accent still, so immediate suspicions.
The same accent he had in Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire.
Thank you.
No,
he did an Australian accent in this movie.
Obviously from Transylvania.
Yeah.
Pansexual.
So he comes off, I'm Detective Meanie.
Meanie.
I thought that was just a nickname she gave him. Was that his actual name?
I think so. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
But then he's talking to them, asking them questions, and they kind of lie to get him off their trail, and then they leave. And then Jack's like, what are you doing lying to a cop? And she says, he's not a cop. Did you see his watch and his nice suit?
He's fucking rich.
No cop in New York could afford this.
I can pick up all the knockoffs.
Then they go to Jack's house for some reason, mostly so they have a plot point for her to see how
they
the
needed
other
the
side
big
lives.
Reveal of why he always wears a Navy shirt.
Yes. Like the person at the spy store.
I was waiting for it open up a closet and it'd be like a Superman. And it's just all just Navy, great Navy shirts.
Navy.
Well, you would think that because at one point in the house we see him with his brother who's in a Navy, but he's wearing the Navy shirt, the shirt that says Navy on it.
Where's the whole movie?
In the picture, and then we cut immediately to him talking to Lindsay Lohan wearing the exact same shirt.
Yeah, these are like cartoons where the boys never change clothes at all because they're poor. Ooh, making connections.
Ooh.
The girls are all rich and can afford more than one pair of pants.
So yeah, this is mostly just to be like, oh, we're supposed to feel sad for Jack because his brother's in the Navy.
But not
his
really.
His dad's dead.
Because his mom makes fucking great lemon bars.
No, Lindsay Lohan's like, oh, I'm sorry. And I was like, no, I'm glad he's dead. That's a real good thing.
But he's also poor, so she's like, oh my god, this is such a shithole. She's like, what's that smell? Your mom made lemon bars?
Why is your mom home
complete trash? Yeah, why is your mom home? Is she an alcoholic? No, she's a night nurse.
What's a nurse?
And I missed this because I was in the bathroom, but apparently he had a ton of bowling trophies.
Yeah, he had a lot of trophies.
So really, I guess we should have had Dustin on this episode.
His mom, though, was dressed like a stripper would dress if he was a nurse.
Yeah, she had the Nurse Ratched kind of nurse outfit, because...
Like the hit show Ratched?
That is baffling that is going
Did you know that she was also a lesbian?
I want nothing to do with that show. That is...
It's almost ridiculous. As infuriating as when they did Bates Motel and they have fucking cell phones, even though Psycho happened in the goddamn 60s.
Well, it was like mixed times. They have like past stuff and then they have present stuff.
No, Ratched would be like...
or that show.
If they made a show about, in Willy Wonka, the guy who goes to try to like trick the kids into getting the everlasting gobstopper thing, which he all worked for Wonka. It's like he's the villain of the movie, but he's not really. It's like if we had a whole series about that character. That's how dumb this is.
I think it's even dumber than that. It'd be like a whole movie of how Cookie Monster met Elmo.
Oh, I'd be into that.
Actually, that was a brilliant idea. Tia.
So anyways, at some point, Mr. Walker gave Jack his old computer, and they're checking it.
And she's like, this fucking, is this from Mr. Walker? And he's like, yeah. You can fucking tell it's fucking ancient.
Yeah, there's something about, how did he send an email from 4 days ago, but you just got it now? And somehow either attached to the email or they look up the computer's system information, because I swear...
The email is to the teacher.
Okay.
And before that...
Because I honestly thought they pulled up, like, this is how much RAM this computer has. Yeah. This is its operating system. And this is the owner of this computer.
Name attached. And then they did some Google search for this dude's
the name is Nicholas Petrosian.
Yeah.
Which NP, like ding, the suitcase. Ding. It's one of the only things in this movie that actually seems to
make sense.
And he's a banker, and he stole a bunch of money, so what's the headline say? Banker cashes out, because this is a fucking funny newspaper.
Yep.
Lindsay Lohan doesn't have to rely on fucking puns because she's the world's greatest writer.
So this bank fraud happened in Arizona.
In like the 80s.
Which is a detail that doesn't really matter.
He was wearing cowboy boots.
Well, snakeskin boots. So he was a real piece of shit banker. At school, we get some narration from Lexi where she says...
Well, we skipped over the whole important part.
What?
Of what he did when he was a banker.
Oh, I thought you said that, sorry.
No.
Yes, he committed bank fraud in the amount of $10 million. So they kind of like, maybe he faked his death or something?
Who knows?
But yeah, thank you for making sure I didn't forget to mention that. Then we get to see some of Lexi at school where she's really struggling with the fact that she's starting to like Jack now.
And he's poor.
It's weird.
Which is mostly because,
he's poor.
I feel so bad for him because his brother's in the Navy and his dad's dead.
And his mom has to work
in the background.
Night.
He's in the background. She'll say something sweet about him, and then it zooms in on him, like so you can like see him.
And during this whole time, Brenda Song is talking right to her. She's just ignoring
right out.
He's like focused in, then he'll focus out, and in the foreground you get Lexi, and then he'll focus back in.
She's like, I'm going to go live in a hotel with two twins.
I want to think that it's her in her rich life that she's never actually experienced sadness. So she's confusing, what is this feeling? Sadness? Maybe I'm in love with Jack. But then Jack comes over and he's like, oh, hey, his mom's still alive and I found her. How did you do that? I looked her up in the phone book. Now remember, this bank fraud happened in Arizona.
Yes.
But the mom still has the same name. And lives in Brooklyn, or whatever.
How did they get her name? Do you remember that?
The phone book?
No, his mom's name.
Oh, no.
In the article, it says...
Oh, yeah, that's right.
he's dead, but he's survived by his mother, who lives in New York.
Which, yeah, it's a weird write-up. Oh, okay, there you go. It's a weird write-up for a newspaper to be like, this is a crime story, but now he's dead. So it's also an obituary, so let's talk about how he survived by somebody. It's a really nice piece about this guy who committed $10 million in bank fraud. So then they go to the mom's house, and she's just...
Who, lives in a very, German-Jewish community?
I think it's supposed to be...
German-Jewish?
I think it's supposed to be like a Russian-Jewish. Borough.
I think it was just a place in New York. Not everyone has...
She had a Matryoshka doll, one of those,
That doesn't mean all of her neighbors are also that.
They were playing.
Yes,
they were playing.
They're playing the music, and they have like some different kind of foods.
She's playing music in her house.
No, like
as they were walking around, they were looking at this old guy playing.
They were definitely
chess, and they're playing very like Fiddler on the Roof.
They were highlighting the.
Yeah, only Jews can listen to Fiddler on the Roof.
I'm definitely not being racist, dude.
No, they were
go
highlighting
after me for making fun of the drug addict teacher.
They were highlighting the community. That just is what it is.
I think I'm accurate here.
You're just hearing the leftovers from Little Italy.
So they go to the door. She answers, and they're like, "Hey." They don't say, "Oh, are you Mrs. Petrosian?" They say, "Is the mother of Nicholas Petrosian here?"
Like, we don't know that name. I know.
Nobody by that name.
No, but who the fuck is that?
I'm surprised Melby was not like, the mom looked terrible.
Well, she did, but she's old.
You made such a big point about Nick the teacher.
Orange dyed hair.
Oh, she's probably got cataracts.
Jeez.
But then from the background, we hear, "Hey, Ma, let the man have. Forget about it."
She's like, Nicky, not
you
these
said
people.
we were fucking done.
Not these people.
And out from the
Shut the
shadows,
fuck up.
in the dramatic reveal, it's Mr. Walker.
He's not dead at all.
He's like all smiley and cheery. He's like, come on, kids.
But he's
come on
missing
in.
a coat.
He is missing a coat. He's not wearing the coat.
He's so chilly.
So they sit down with him, and he tells them the story about him being a banker. And that, I didn't do the fraud. Somebody blackmailed me.
I was too busy snorting a roll.
Yeah. Then I faked my death. And then I took this guy's identity who died a year before me.
He goes, this guy died. And then when I acquired his identity, they just gloss over that. I mean,
I guess
did he get his social security number?
Got a New York teacher's license.
No, it was a teacher that died. So it's just like, I hid that guy died.
That's like some School of Rock shit. And then, it's a mess. How dumb is it for him to be like, I took this guy's identity, but now that he faked his death again because somebody he thinks is on his trail because he gets a note, then he goes to his mom's house that literal fucking children were able to find by looking up the name of the phone book because it was also in the newspaper story.
The vampire could have easily found him.
No one knew that he was this NP. The cops didn't know he was this NP.
No, but I'm talking about the guy who's following him because he shows them a note, and for whatever reason, the note wants you to meet somebody somewhere, or if something will happen to Miss Dawson, but it's all smudged because he was in the rain.
In the rain.
Yeah.
Melby, I'm sorry that you can afford your fancy enclosed mailbox.
As they say, blame it on the rain.
Speaking of enclosed mailboxes, I have a funny story here. I had to take a physical for life insurance because Robin wants to murder me.
I'd watch
as
that
all
DCOM.
wives do.
So I had to provide a urine sample.
Ooh.
But I couldn't go when the lady was there.
Oh.
Well, don't they usually let you go to a bathroom?
In my own bathroom, because she came to my house. I just couldn't go to the bathroom.
Jeez.
So
Are you sure this was life insurance?
Well, here's the weird part.
Oh.
She goes, that happens all the time. Here's my address. Provide the sample and then just put it in my mailbox. But the company said they never got a urine sample.
Oh.
So I'm pretty sure I just put my own urine in somebody's mailbox in Lower North Mankato.
Oh, God.
Oh, my gosh. Would it even be worse? Well, not worse, but it'd also be really gross if you got to her mailbox and it was just filled with other piss samples.
I mean, they were in test tubes. I mean,
sure, but it'd be like
it's still my piss in someone's mailbox.
I touched it. Oh, but at least it's like cold. It's been here a while. But,
God.
You got there right after somebody else's fresh piss.
Jesus.
Somebody just peed in their car and then immediately put it into the mailbox.
Fuck that.
Is that a crime, putting pee in the mailbox? I don't know.
Did you write your name?
Yes, my name was on it.
Well, we'll look for our own reporting in the paper from Lexi Gold.
The pee bandit strikes.
Yeah.
Is it a bandit if he leaves pee?
A certain kind of wet bandit.
Reverse. Oh, yeah.
All right, so how
Johnny Peasley.
So this note is wet. How can we figure out what it says? Well, let's go to the forensic sister, who busts out all of her Scholastic's book gear stuff.
The fucking black light.
Well, she's dusting the notes. I thought she was checking for fingerprints at first, but then she sprays it down and then flips on with a remote, a black light in the living room.
No, you guys don't get it. That is a magical remote that can shut any door and turn any light into a black light.
I also could turn it into a red light if she wanted to develop photographs in there.
Yeah, that's right.
And I took
or have prostitutes there.
I took a forensic science class in college, and we never got to use a black light. It was actually an extremely boring and not fun class. But it was very hard to get into because everybody thought it'd be really cool, but the professor was really dry and it wasn't that fun.
And if you're thinking, oh, they're doing this in the living room, that fucking couch is gonna light up like a Jackson Pollock painting.
Because the dad murdered the dad. Oh my god, what did they put that in? That there's all this stuff that they see, and that's why the dad's like, oh, what's this black light up for? It's because the dad murdered the mom and...
No, but everything is spotless, and you know why? Because the live-in maid slaves.
No room should be that blemish-free from a black light. So yes, they're able to decipher the note, but yes, the dad comes in and says, what are you doing in here? They switch off the black light.
And they fucking dance.
The little sister says... oh, we were just dancing. And then her, Lexi, Jack, Gabe, and Brenda Song all bust into the worst dance.
Shit.
Brenda Song's doing the swimmer dealio.
Oh,
and it's one of my favorite things in movies.
Alfalfa's just kind of moving his body like this.
I think it's something that even kind of happens in Smart House where, oh no, the parental figure comes in and you're doing something. Oh, I'm just leaning up against this closet door. E.T. the extraterrestrial's not in here at all, Mom. And it's just like, oh, we just have a black light on for our dance moves. That was my favorite scene in the movie.
But I just want to know, Alfalfa's doing some lazy-ass dancing.
Well, you should mention that poor kid Jack played Alfalfa in at least the most recent Little Rascals, I think.
I don't think it is. The one with Whoopi Goldberg.
I'm just talking about the black and white.
Like the 90s ones.
Yes.
The 1990s.
I think there's been a Little Rascals afterwards.
That's probably true. They know what hotel that this note that is no longer with invisible ink or whatever.
They could get a place and a time.
Everyone thinks that the sister's a spy. She's really a goddamn wizard.
She's a narc.
That could just do whatever the fuck she wants.
So then they're meeting up. Well, they take a cab to this hotel, but the whole crew is dressed in black.
Black and leather.
Black leather.
Black and leather, black and leather, black and leather.
And Lexi has a trench coat, or like a duster. You know what? The Matrix was a very influential movie because this is some straight up...
Did this come out before The Matrix?
No, The Matrix I think was 97 or 98. Really? So
I thought it was from 2000. Okay, whatever.
Well, that would probably be like The Matrix Reloaded and Revolution.
Oh, yeah.
Less influential. But hey, those albinos with white dreadlocks were pretty cool.
Oh, I remember that shit.
Everyone loves seeing Neo fly.
Let's talk about the
Merovingian
and the architect.
The guy that owns the Hell Hotel.
I think that's the Merovingian.
He would have fit right in at this hotel.
Where there's like the cyber werewolf people. The Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions, I remember them not being that bad. Maybe I'll have to watch them again once I resubscribe to HBO Max or something.
Good stuff, I suppose.
Yeah, there's great action scenes, especially in the Reloaded. Anyways, so they go to the hotel, and then they hand over sunglasses and a taxi cab hat to Mr. Walker.
Oh, and the earpiece. So
exactly.
And a recording device.
Yes.
Yeah, they really got all the spy shit.
She must have spent $50,000 at that spy store.
Yeah.
The owner of that spy store retired after she visited.
And this is, at this hotel, this is where this movie goes off the rails.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like an episode of Seinfeld where everyone's going somewhere.
Well, as I mentioned at the top of the episode, this is the part that feels like a Guy Pearce movie where all these characters are coming in. So we see Mr. Walker. He's sitting down and they're watching him for when, presumably, we can guess, and it ends up being Meanie that comes and shows up, the vampire accent guy. Yes. But we also see Miss Stern.
Everybody's here.
Oh.
Fucking
we see
everybody.
Mr. Goldblum.
The fucking mother.
We see Grandmama.
The dad's here.
The dad's awesome.
Everybody, like literally every character.
The homeless man.
The homeless
everybody is here.
Coat.
Literally every main character is at this.
Not even main character. Any character that was basically in a scene.
Any character. Yeah.
Not even
but
two
not,
scenes. Maybe just one scene.
But not Ashley Tisdale.
Oh.
Yeah, we forgot that maybe Easter egg where Ashley Tisdale is maybe in the background.
She totally was.
I think that's all the characters.
The mom doesn't come back because the mom is dead.
Yeah, the mom does not come back at all.
She says, I had to meet an important client. She's obviously a prostitute and was murdered by a John.
So Meanie
Makes
walks
sense.
in. Again,
How else could they afford that apartment? A very high-end prostitute.
all those Pilates classes weren't.
You
for
think a
nothing.
journalist can afford a live-in maid?
Maybe she just ran off with the Pilates coach or whatever. So Meanie walks in.
No,
Remember,
here's what happens. Her high-priced Johns all come to her. Then she murders them and cleans out their accounts so her daughter can go to Madison Avenue.
and her husband never writes about them in the paper and has them get covered up. All
Oh
these
my god. No, it's covered up by the forensics of the daughter.
Oh my god.
And the maid
It
can
goes
clean
all the way
things
to the
out.
top.
She can shut the door on any investigator at any time.
Yeah, that's like a 13 Dead
Oh
Dry
my god.
house. All right, so Meanie walks in.
Full circle.
The poor kid's the fall guy. And that's why Lindsay Lohan's getting so close to him.
No, well, Lindsay, she's the only member of the family that's not in on it because they're like, she just writes dumb advice columns.
Little do they know, she wrote a story about banging
how to
and
get
how
away
that
with
would
murder?
lead to her.
So Meanie walks into the hotel.
Yikes.
Remember, Meanie has an accent, but apparently he was Mr. Walker's boss in Arizona,
Yes.
and he was the one who set up this bank fraud. And he's like, yep, I totally did it.
I
Now-
confess to everything. I don't care that we're in a public space.
But
Or
then
they
he
might be
says,
recording.
hey, where's the money? And Mr. Walker's like, I don't have the
don't-
money.
He didn't say money. He said, where is it? Which is
Oh,
important
yes.
later. That's
Yeah.
why
Where's the shit?
Yeah.
that's why he freaked out when he said, you have half of it.
Half of it.
Oh,
That's what he
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
Half of
you know what? This movie's not so
It's,
bad.
it. Like, that is
oh,
kind of good.
it's like Shrek. It's got layers.
But then Jack's talking on the earpiece to him, and he's like, hey, be cool, be cool. And then Mr. Walker's touching his ear, and eventually Mr.
He like freaks out. He's like, "What the fuck? What are you like?"
Well, Meanie picks up and he's like, you wearing a fucking wire?
And he
you fucking rat!
Pushes him down.
He says, who you with? And then
He goes, are you a cop?
just absolute bedlam
Boston
breaks
accent.
out. So
Departed.
Meanie
Hot lava. I can do accents too.
Meanie is running away. Lindsay Lohan and Jack the poor kid start chasing after him.
Jack the.
Meanwhile,
The homeless man is running around.
being chased by security, and, the
And they're
homeless man
high-stepping.
has a bag with him. Could that have something in
Ooh,
it?
the dad is-
it
the
doesn't.
dad
It's
is
the
in
most comedic running ever.
Brenda Song and
High-stepping.
Gabe are chasing after the mom, the grandma.
I think they were chasing after him as well, and they got split.
They split up. Some of them went up top, and some of them went down low.
Oh, yeah, I
and
remember that,
the
yeah.
mother was just running around for
And
no
the homeless
reason.
guy, his stuff, yeah, the mom's just, she just wants to be a part of
And the
things.
homeless guy was getting chased by a worker that
Yeah,
just
the
wanted a
security
homeless
at the
guy
hotel.
fucking out.
But his
Yes.
is the most Scooby-Doo of the chase scene.
Yeah.
It's
It's
like
like-
down the
It's like
halls
Monty
and-
Python's Silly Walks, but faster.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he is really taking weird, gangly strides.
He is arching his head back as if he was running very fast.
So Lindsay Lohan and Jack follow Meanie into the basement, and then he throws an empty barrel at them,
Yeah.
and then turns on like some steam valve.
He switches a valve, and there's like 6 things coming out, and each of them shoot out steam.
But it's one at a time,
Oh.
leading up to, oh no, Lindsay
Lindsay
Lohan's
Lohan.
bracelets caught on
Her
this valve.
expensive
Just get a
ass
fucking
bracelet.
guy. So he gets a fucking axe and
can't-
chops it off.
She can't slightly twist her arm to
Yeah,
get
it's
out.
very unbelievable, but it's also like, oh no, she's gonna get her
He
head.
gets a bolt cutter to cut her dumbass bracelet.
And then they run out, and then she's like, oh my god, you're so fucking cool. And she gives him a kiss, but only on the cheek. He's too poor to get the lips.
Fucking dirty.
So
They're
then,
only- she's not ready to go all the way yet.
So now
like
they've
she
lost-
does in Mean Girls, I assume.
so they've lost Meanie, but then they're walking around and they come across this locker room that Lexi goes
Well,
inside.
yeah,
she
well,
hears screaming come out of it.
Well, no, it's like,
So Miss Dawson,
Someone's doing it.
she's there, tied up in a bathrobe with, you know,
with her fucking feet in like blood.
and then also her
Presumably
face,
naked.
You know, her face has all like the, I don't know, the facial cleanser
Zucchinis
stuff on
in
it.
her eyes. No,
She doesn't have
They don't put
No.
zucchinis on the
cucumbers.
faces.
Cucumbers.
Zucchini is too small. You buffoon.
And then she takes off the kind of like bathrobe belt that's around
And pushes her in the
mouth.
fucking shower.
But first she's like, what the fuck are you doing? And she's like, I was
no
invited
expense
for a
paid."
spa. So I guess Mr. Meanie
Thought maybe she
set
had
her up,
the
but
money.
then he invited her here and then had her in the locker room, and she's like soaking her feet as part of the spa. And she didn't like think that, oh, it's weird that I'm being kept in the locker room, because then she gets tied up.
No, it said ladies spa on the door.
Oh,
it's
really?
just a shitty ass spa in a locker room.
Yeah,
It's weird.
So
I bet he was like, all right, you've short me. I'm going to murder your girlfriend.
Yeah, I feel like that should have been mentioned. Like, he should have said, yeah, I got fucking whatever fucking tied up and
But no,
shit.
he's just running around like a jackass.
Like, I feel like that was like something that they never went full
So
circle
then
on.
It's like he tied her up and then he walked out and fucking forgot it like a goldfish.
So Lindsay Lohan's like, okay, Mr. Walker, he's not really dead. I'm really sorry about this. And then she shoves her into the shower and just turns
like
it
fully
on.
clothed. She's
and then
still got her
leaves.
cloak and shit, or whatever.
Yeah, she has a fucking cloak. She's a fucking Harry Potter goddamn
She's got a
knockoff.
trench coat.
We mentioned wizards, so it just came to mind.
So then, if that wasn't weird enough, Lexi leaves the locker room, happens across this press conference where
Her dad.
a guy is introducing, I'm going to introduce you to a great man who spent the last 4 weeks masquerading in secret as a homeless man. And then the homeless man shakes off the security to come into the room. Everybody's like, oh my God, you smell so bad. And he goes up to the mic and he takes off. Should have mentioned he had very long hair and a beard. Obviously fake. He takes those off.
He takes off his poor clothes, and under that he's wearing a full suit and tie.
His name's like Good Day or like something
Yes.
like that. Or no, it's I Care. His last name is I Care.
Yes.
And he takes them off and
And he's
Says, I care.
He's looking at Lindsay Lohan and he's like, homeless people, no one likes them. And the only kindness I ever got was this coat. It was my shelter. And then Lindsay Lohan's like, other people don't live in a goddamn penthouse. Some people just have coats.
yeah, the meaningful why this was in the movie, the connection to that is very tenuous. And I can only assume this
homeless man was in one goddamn scene prior to this hotel.
Yeah, before running around the hotel. And it is I assume this is where Batman Begins got the scene where Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne gives the old guy, the homeless guy, his coat. And then later on says,
Inspiration.
nice coat to it. So, get a clue, Christopher Nolan.
And then her dad notices that the homeless man is staring at someone, talking to them directly, trying to get them life advice. And as his daughter
Shakes his head at the ceiling.
Lexi!
he rips off his shirt and drops to his knees. And
One
goes,
of these days, Lexi, to the moon.
And then she go, feet don't fail me now, and runs off.
Yeah, and then they just find Meanie again. This is still in the hotel.
No,
He runs by him in the background, and they're like, oh shit, it's him.
And then they run about 20 feet, and he's like 5 foot in front of him, and they're like, oh, we lost him.
And then it's the mother, and then they're dining.
But then all of a sudden, security's on them, and then they pretend that they're with the grandma.
She's not a grandma, she's a mom.
But they call her grandma.
Yes.
And then some
Brenda Song calls her grandma. Grandma, how you doing?
But not Lindsay Lohan's mom, no.
I wish they just started dancing to throw off the security guards. We're just dancing in this hotel lobby.
But that security guard's got nothing on him. He's chasing homeless.
He's got anything.
You ain't homeless, so you can be here.
So then that really dumb random thing happens where they see Meanie across the way.
Well, she uses her glasses.
Oh, God.
The glasses that can see behind her. Reflective glasses.
Chekhov's glasses.
Spy glasses.
They're called rear
lenses.
view. Yeah. Like they have fucking cameras on the back because there's like a computer blip. And they they lost him, but didn't realize that he was directly behind them the whole time.
They're like, early Jack. They're early
Jack,
Google
get a
glass.
load of this shit.
He's 10 feet behind them, and he lost him.
What can Jack do? Well, obviously he will take a rolling cart and push it towards these very well-timed bakers carrying out a gigantic cake.
Like the Ark of the Covenant, they're bringing this cake.
Basically a wedding cake, but there does not seem to be any wedding happening.
It's not a wedding cake. It could be a 4th of July cake like the Sandlot.
People make tiered cakes like that.
Did you not see the Sandlot?
That could have been for a wedding too.
It was the 4th of goddamn July.
That is true. And then, just like in The Sandlot, it flies out and
hits him in the face. It
hits Meanie in the face.
It covers him.
And then incapacitates him with all of the buttercream.
And then
he collapses.
The police come up and are like, "Oh, you're arrested." And they have nothing on him.
For disturbing dessert, we're putting you away, sir.
Well,
you have an accent. We don't like your
They have
here.
you're wanted for bank fraud. They're like, oh, you were impersonating a police officer.
Didn't they also want to get the teacher, though, too?
Yeah. They're like, you both did this.
Yeah.
They're like, we found the article, too. You faked your death.
Well, and then they're like, where the fuck's the 10 milli? Where the fuck's the money?
No, I'm not done with this whole stupid reveal here. So they come up and they arrest him, and they're like, you wanted for bank fraud and all this shit. And then the big reveal.
Oh, yeah.
The police officer has shaved his mustache.
Yeah.
Oh,
He gave into the peer pressure of a goddamn teenage girl.
He's so mean.
Girls. Mean girls.
That's why. Oh my god, I get it now.
Connection.
We're talking about HBO girl.
It dated back to another movie that Lindsay Lohan was in. So then, right before this happens, we see Mrs. Stern and Mr. Goldblum walk out.
Yeah.
And they're looking very satisfied.
They
They were just pounding it out.
There's some very conspicuous...
Oh, like jackrabbits.
There's some very conspicuous...
Coming and going. They don't want the little girl to turn on the black light where they were. Plus, they were coming out of the conference room, so they had an audience.
You done?
No.
So very conspicuously...
Ebony and Ivory, if you will. Doing it.
Banging those keys.
Not since the movie Big did we have a sex scene that was as satisfying.
Oh, I thought you meant like...
The trampoline scene.
The Ebony and Ivory of the giant piano.
Up and around.
So very conspicuously during this, we get some narration from Lindsay Lohan explaining, oh, Mrs. Stern was trying to get with Mr. Walker, but he turned her down and she was jealous. And Mr. Goldblum was trying to get with Miss Dawson, but she didn't want him either.
But he doesn't look too beat up about it because they were banging.
So then they're paired up together. The reason this makes absolutely no sense why they're still in the movie is there was actually a reshoot to change the ending of the movie. Originally, Miss Stern was going to be the villain. That knew Mr. Walker from Arizona or something, but then they reshot it to have it be Meanie, which is the far more obvious thing. But also, then it just makes all this stuff with Miss Stern make absolutely no sense.
Is this a fact? Like this?
Which one's Miss Stern again?
She's thick black lady.
Okay, obviously they just didn't want to have the one black person in the main cast as the bad guy.
That is a twist.
So at least according to IMDb trivia, but that makes sense because why is she in the movie? And the explanation she gave made absolutely no sense.
So
she went to her house. Went to his house, broke in, because she wanted to bang him.
Yes.
Yeah. It makes more sense that she broke into his house to like
was looking
take
all
evidence
sketchy.
or something like that.
Yeah.
This movie, it's just like any good mystery where
they didn't fucking know what they were doing until the end of the movie.
A perfectly crafted mystery where you can just change the ending, like
with some narration.
Which is like, I didn't think...
It's like a goddamn Scooby-Doo episode.
Yeah, like the Clue movie.
But it was...
That movie has multiple endings, so obviously it's not that great of a mystery movie when you can't actually solve the mystery because it can be either or thing.
Clue has a definite ending.
In theaters, they released two endings.
So we'll do that. But anyway. I'm just proving you wrong. I was going to say something funny, and now I don't remember it from your factual error.
Take that, that's karma. Alright, so then we get the real explanation that I don't know if this was also rewritten or not, where it almost comes off like she's lying at first because she's trying to cover for Mr. Walker with the cops. And she sees this gaudy, horrible brooch on the mom, Mr. Walker's mom, and she says, where did you get that ugly
I mean, gorgeous, beautiful.
So that's like, what the fuck? So like that swab, I'm like, oh, she's lying to the cops. But no, she's not.
She knows her fucking gems. She's rich and she knows her gems.
Hold on. Do they give them the tape of the guy confessing? No.
That's circumstantial, Sam. Anybody can.
Oh, that's entrapment. Everyone knows you can't use a 16-year-old girl to get someone to confess to fraud.
So the grandma explains how she got the brooch.
I found it in a fucking bag.
It was the goddamn stupidest goddamn thing.
I found it in a bag in the bank.
All right, so 10 years ago, we see young old lady.
Yes.
Looking not too much different.
No. She has straighter hair.
She's waiting at the bank to talk to her son, and there's a dead drop in the waiting area where there's a brown paper bag on the floor. She picks it up. Oh my gosh, there's a jewel in it. It's so pretty.
Did they say it was a dead drop?
No, that's what
the guy said I was supposed to go in a safety deposit box.
So yes, he brought it there to put it in the safety deposit box.
But somehow it ended up on the floor.
Where the fuck did it go? I lost it. She wanted to return it to the rightful owner, but then they were on the fucking run because this dude was wanted for 10 milli.
So much more could have been better about this movie, including Miss Stern being the villain, which also would have been super random.
So that's why the mother had to be there with the fucking gem.
Exactly.
So they threw that in there.
It's a perfect movie.
The mom goes, it was me, and you hear JR going, oh, son of a bitch.
See, the bad thing is, Sam, I believe I already used that audio clip, so I can't do that again.
I was just making sure everyone heard my funny joke.
No, I heard it. It was good. I'm sure our audience are huge.
We'll pick right up on
our Attitude Era wrestling heads. Being super rich, Lindsay Lohan just knows that this is one of about 30 similar jewels.
Worth approximately 10 million.
She's Adam Sandler being like, all right, cops, this is how I win. This is how I win in Uncut Gems. Me and KG are going all in on this gem.
And then the guy's eyes go big and it's all, whoa, 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 what?
And the cops are like, well,
fucking deal. That's it. He's good to go. Give us the gem.
Oh,
good enough for me. You're free
a 16-year-old girl said that's worth $10 million. Do you have any other evidence, Lindsay Lohan?
Makes
like maybe
sense.
a confession?
Take him away, officers.
No.
So then we get to see the cover story the next day of the Daily Examiner, and it's written by one Alexandra Gold.
Oh, yeah, and everyone's reading this magic newspaper.
And Miss Dawson's there in the morning somewhere, reading this morning paper with her. Is like, good job! I've kicked my opioids addiction. So she's so happy, and then the ending of the movie, we get to see...
No, she goes, Mr. What's-His-Face wants to ask me something. I gotta go. And then we get the wedding. Who's at the wedding? Everyone in the goddamn school.
And the mother.
All the goddamn students.
We'll see that Mr. Goldblum is in the background, but who's not? Miss Stern, because she was the original villain of the movie.
Oh.
And is in prison in an alternate timeline.
Oh, shit.
But yes, the wedding happens,
That's
and yes,
true.
all the kids are there. Lindsay Lohan's there.
I thought she was
Jack's
just
there.
in hiding from the breaking and entering that she did.
Yeah. And then, I don't know, she's talking...
The mom gets in the carriage with the newlyweds. Like, hey, we just got married. Now let's sit with my mom behind a horse.
He's very involved with his mother.
He looks like a magician, too.
Then we get some really fake shit of, Lindsay Lohan learned, I guess, to not be materialistic.
Oh, and then she's like, New York is the greatest city on earth.
You can't judge a person by their coat.
And Gabe is, he submitted his tape to Geraldo.
Yeah. Because he couldn't be on Diane Sawyer's show or something?
I don't know. And then she gives Jack some bowling shoes because I forgot to mention he talked about
he was a great bowler.
Bowling shoes.
And
she was like, bowling? Isn't that the sport where you put your feet in shoes?
Yes, and he's like, only good
else?
people or only rich people can afford their own shoes.
Yeah, like the big,
and then,
the dude.
And then he's like socks and fucking undies, and she's like, ugh.
They were talking about going bowling, and Brenda Song is like, fungi much?
I don't blame her. And then that is basically the end of the movie. There's a pan-up shot of everybody at the wedding celebrating bowling shoes or something.
There's a funeral for the mother.
And
no one's going to find that body.
Get a clue.
It's in the car, in the river.
Maybe this movie should have been called Clueless, because I don't feel like they really got too many clues in this movie.
I thought you wouldn't say that, because you love Clueless. You think it's the best goddamn movie ever.
I like Clueless, but Mean Girls is better.
That's the birth of step-sibling porn right there.
Whoa.
You're not wrong.
I know.
You know, people turn a blind eye to it. It wasn't anime that invented it.
Ooh.
But there's certain things about the porn industry right now that is drawing a lot of inspiration from
What is that?
It is shitty
anime.
movie.
Like step-sibling stuff or stepmother stuff. But in some anime, it's just actual relations.
Ahigo.
Or people getting stuck in stuff. Like, I've seen some ads of, like, a lady getting stuck in a washing machine, and then a guy goes and fucks her.
Oh. Or tires.
So that was Get a Clue. Final judgments of this movie.
I hope you just got a clue right there, ladies.
What was your final feeling about this movie, Telejohn?
A fucking mess. A tornado that never stopped spinning.
Yeah. We've been on a really good streak, and this one...
We had like 3 or 4 solid movies that like ended well. I didn't
Stop
fucking...
clapping into the microphone.
I wasn't confused as shit.
A movie
but
that
like,
has a reshoot that basically changed the ending of a movie. He's going to make a mystery movie.
That makes
very
confusing.
hard to follow.
Yes. So the reshoot, I think, makes more sense. I mean, but like not knowing that, I think that helps fill some gaps.
The reshoot does not make more sense.
I think it explains why
the
it's fucking a
reshoot is
mess.
the ending.
The reshoot is the most obvious thing where, it can't be Miss Dawson. Okay, it's not Miss Dawson.
So what
it can't be this very obviously coded villain character with an accent. Oh wait, it actually is.
So did they say what the Meanie guy did in the real ending?
He stole he wanted to steal
took
10
out the
million.
money to buy that brooch
and
to then hide that he had taken out the money and then he was going to, I don't know, sell it at an auction or something.
So then how did that play into the black lady going to her house?
Well, because she was the original
just know
villain.
that he did it?
I think the brooch maybe didn't actually play into Miss Stern's
her
ending
original
at all.
thing, yeah.
'Cause that part was reshot. It wasn't just all like
was it too dark? Did it end with her like, yes, it was me, and then shooting Lindsay Lohan?
So
I'll try to find the director. Let's tweet at the director.
I think leaving the scene of her at his apartment should have been cut. Like, right? Like, that shouldn't have been in there at all.
Yeah, it's not a great movie.
No. Or she's leaving and it's nighttime, and guess who fucking stops her? It's fucking Daredevil.
Oh.
And I
on Netflix.
On the last episode, I talked about how I don't like to throw around terms like plot holes and whatnot.
But
this movie
hole.
has actual
The whole thing is a plot hole. The whole movie.
So Sam, what are your final feelings?
The movie
about this
fucking
movie?
sucks.
I think you've said that about basically every movie you've been on, except maybe Don't Look Under the Bed.
Don't Look Under the Bed was amazing.
Yeah, I think it was a decent enough watch. I think it was actually visually somewhat interesting. I liked the outfits.
Just like Lindsay Lohan.
I don't.
You were perving on her when she was 16. You were like, oh, jeez, look what she grew up to be. Oh, yeah.
She turned into a
step on me.
Bloated. She's
now she's bloated.
Addict.
Now she's bloated, Melanie.
Well,
you are being such a weirdo.
That's what happens when you stop doing like heroin and shit.
Because you go from like 80 pounds to, some weight.
You don't lose weight for heroin. You lose weight for cocaine.
I was gonna say I like the outfits. They were garish in a way, very similar to like Zoolander.
I feel like the sister should have been in the hotel. She should have made an appearance.
The sister was fun, they had decent. There was times where the style of the movie, there'd be shots where the frame rate dropped a little bit to make it more dramatic. There was some interstitials of weird close-ups of clothing at stores. Yikes. It just added a little more style that you don't always get from some of these movies.
All right, so now, I know what you're thinking. How would they make this movie better? And obviously, the villain at the time would have been Amanda Bynes.
Yeah.
Dressed up as a man.
What?
Like in the movie.
She's the homeless man.
She's the man.
she's the man. She's the homeless man.
Yeah.
Amanda Bynes is the homeless man, and also the villain, and also a city councilor.
But then it works on another level that she's the villain because she's from Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
She's coming over onto
crossover.
All right, I changed my mind now. If the city councilor was the villain the whole time and just dressed up like a homeless man for some reason.
All right, so we've given enough of our final judgments. Not a great movie, but not a low-tier DCOMs either, I would say. I might start a running list on my Letterboxd account, too, of all of the DCOMs as I'm watching them.
If I could go into more detail on my thing now instead of tangents. Lindsay Lohan's a bitch. Brenda Song is a bitch in the movie. I'm sure they're fine people. And they're
Lindsay Lohan's definitely not a nice person in real life.
You don't know that.
Okay, fair.
She seemed good up until
just because she does
Herbie fully loaded. Then
just because she does drugs doesn't mean she's a bad person.
I think she's probably fine now.
But anyway, the main characters are two bitches, and the other two people are fine.
We're poor.
But
yeah, that is something that is a flaw of this movie. That kind of like how I felt about Cadet Kelly, but Cadet Kelly, she learns more of a lesson and she's still obnoxious, but she's more endearingly obnoxious.
Like, do you
Lindsay
think
Lohan is...
she's not going to change the way she dresses? She's not going to wear some plain coat thing.
Okay.
In Cadet
Is there
Kelly,
vodka in that water bottle?
in Cadet Kelly, is it like G.I. Jane, where she actually gets captured in war and gets tortured?
No, she's just at a military prep school.
So it's not good.
It's not the best DCOM.
So it's like that one where one of the Wayans brothers is a drill instructor or something.
It's like Child's Play 3, as we talked about in our Cadet Kelly episode. All right, so if you want to talk to us about, I guess, Get a Clue, if you want to clue us in on Get a Clue, you can write to us at awholenewpod@gmail.com. No mention of Twitter, because that does not exist, and neither does Jacob's account. No. But you can comment, like us, and subscribe to us on YouTube.
We are celebrating our 100th subscriber. We are up to 103 now.
YouTube sent me an email to be like, oh my god, we're not sending you a plaque yet, but you're on your way.
Wow, 103 subs.
They sent me an email saying, oh, you've passed 100 subs.
And
but they didn't say you're on your way to getting the golden plaque.
I didn't read the full email, okay.
It takes like 1 million, I think.
54,822 views. That's up quite a bit from our last episode.
See, the funny thing is this will be the one time I almost always
cut these out.
Edit out Telejon talking about our view numbers.
We're tracking it.
But this is a fun
are you guys trending now?
No.
You getting all the hits?
We haven't gotten too many comments recently about people asking us to just upload the whole movie.
And Cody's up to 15,000 now.
But
who the fuck's Cody?
That's the 13th year. It's our most viewed video for some reason.
Okay, fine.
We'll never know why.
But I did get a comment of somebody asking when we were going to do Full Court Miracle, and that's about 10 episodes away, so...
10 episodes.
At the rate we're going, see us 2021. We'll get to that.
And nobody's asking for full movies yet, right? We haven't got
any
full fucking movies, popcorn emoji.
We haven't gotten any Indian children asking me to upload the full movies.
In Hindi.
So the YouTube is a very big hub of our activity, but we also are on Apple Podcasts where you can subscribe to us.
We're still getting some decent downloads.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't uploaded an episode yet this month.
But we're still getting
August was our biggest download month for the episode. Cadet Kelly is, I think, in our top 5 episodes now.
Holy crap.
Because apparently some people just want to listen to the movies they know and like and not ready to run. So that's fun. But you can also find us on Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. We're all over the place.
A whole new pod.
Getting crazy.
Subscribe
up
everywhere.
In this bitch.
Everywhere. Listen to us on everything. Download us, subscribe, like, everything. Do it all.
Oh, thank you.
Do it all.
Yeah, thanks for repeating what I just said.
Do whatever you want to do.
Reiterating.
Don't listen to these
Give
bullies.
us some positive reviews. Let's get us up there in the
review them
search.
the way you think they should be reviewed. Don't be bullied
That's what I
into
said.
hearing
If
them.
you write us a review, whether it's good or bad, we'll read it on the episode. Unless it's clearly written by Dustin, who's been on the show, or my brother, which are the only 2 written reviews we've got. But I think we did get another recent rating on iTunes.
Yes.
But we'll just cut it there. This is a decent length episode. We could go into backstory, lore, me, Jacob, and Sam, but we'll just tease that forever and never actually tell us that because I never want to edit that long of episodes. You got anything to plug of your own, Sam?
When I was unemployed, I got into a podcast. Can I plug that?
No.
It's called Crime and Sports. You want to know how a professional surfer went from being a professional surfer to pulling off the biggest jewel heist in American history? Crime and Sports.
Well, as long as it wasn't like another Disney Channel original movie podcast.
I'm listening to this other fucking DCOM one.
Mention it.
It's real good.
And this time, I'm fully prepared. Intros, outros, wrote something down.
We're fighting.
I'm going to listen to this, and if I don't hear my plug, I swear to God, Milton.
No, I'll be there. But
and also this, explain
good morning, good evening, and good night.
I only edit out stuff Jacob says. And usually when you really go in hard about, like, children masturbating. But that didn't happen in this episode. So.
Yeah, there's still time.
It happened twice. One was adults banging, and then there was another time adults banging. So we're up to 3.
That's better than you talking about the Smart House kid whacking it on his video wall screen or whatever.
Well, Melby, clearly that's what he would have done.
The house is jumping. Chop, chop.
Well, now my outro isn't even worth saying. It's just gonna, I was gonna say, get a clue. More like, Mondo cool.
What?
Fuck you.
Listen to the end of the episode.
Ooh.
So what's this machine for, Vegeta?
It's called an isolation chamber. It'll get Kakarot's strength back in no time. The liquid in the capsule is synthetic Saiyan DNA, which will penetrate his every pore and make him good as new.
Whoa, Mondo cool.
That's right, boys. Mondo cool. But get a good look at it now. Because once I'm through with Frieza, there'll be no need to resuscitate any of you 3.